Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. This time we have another older release. This is the MS-06 Zaku II version anime. So this was one of the first version anime figures to come out. I reviewed the Gundam and the Zaku II was released around that same time. So this is going to be kind of a look back to an older figure to see how it's held up, because the design has been used later on many times. So we're going to go back to the beginning here with this one. Now the Zaku II obviously first appeared in Mobile Suit Gundam, but it has appeared in just about every other facet of Gundam. I think the Zaku is just as iconic as the Gundam. You know, lots of places where you see the Zaku is in just standard Gundam advertisements and things. You know, the Zaku's on billboards and this and that. It's represented in other animes, etc. So it's a very well-known design. It has a rich figure history. You know, we had it in the MSIA line multiple times. It had its original release, the second version, the EMSIA, the High Complete Model Pro. It was in Xeonography. It was actually in Robot Spirits before this release, as a more stylized approach to the Zaku. And now we have the anime version, which is more faithful to the anime. So let's get it opened up and check it out and see what we got. Alright, so we have it all opened up here. So let's take a look at it. So this is the version anime Zaku II. So, you know, this is an older release. It's been out for years now. I wanted to go ahead and review it ahead of the MS-06 J-type that was an exclusive that came out recently, and get this review out of the way so that the familiarity with the Zaku is there. But you know, this redesign is kind of a love it or hate it design. You know, a lot of people didn't like this kind of rounded anime look to the Zaku, and then you had people, you know, I grew to like it. It's not my ideal form of the Zaku, but I figured out, you know, that I like the line consistency, and so I'm a fan of the version anime stuff, but you know, some people aren't. You'll see that this one differs from the older release in that there's not so many hard points all over it. It's not covered in holes necessarily. There's some holes for effect parts, some of the weaponry, thruster effects. You have two on the feet and the backpack there. I don't really know what these are for, other than maybe effect parts as well, like he's, you know, kind of blocking a shot with his arm. But other than that, I mean, it's a solid figure. The articulation's really good. I like the way the head movement is instead of having a tab back here like the older releases. The shoulder armor kind of gets in the way, but otherwise it's a solid release, and I think it looks good. I don't think there's too many flaws with it. If anything, there's not a whole lot of paint detail in here. It's, you know, singular colored parts, or single colored parts, not singular. But other than that, I mean, it looks good. There's a little bit of a, you know, where they cut this piece off of the runner, little things like that, but you know, absolutely something you can live with, although it's not ideal. So let's check out some of the accessories. So the Zaku II actually comes with quite a bit of stuff. You do have your standard assortment of hands. So we have kind of heat hawk holding hands that are angled. You have a set of posing hands. You have a kind of pointing hands, kind of recreate that scene. I think it was in Battle of Solomon or Baoku in the movies where the commander type Zaku shoves another one out of the fortress and then promptly gets blown up by a stray missile. Guess that's what that hand's for. And then you have trigger hands, which should be what I'm grabbing right now. So these are for your weapons. These have the exposed or movable finger there. You do get your hand rack thing. An interesting piece you get here is it's like a colony door opener that they turn to open the door. They actually used it in the very first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam. And it'll actually attach to the little holes in the Tamashii stands, so you can kind of recreate the Zaku kneeling down and opening a colony door. So not really something that anybody asked for, but we've got it. And then you have your commander type head with the commander's fin. So it just, you pop the head off there and you can replace it pretty easily. Now this is an early release. You do not get another one of those fins. This is your only one. If you lose this, that's it. It's not like later releases where you get a secondary one just in case. So now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the weapons, because there's quite a bit. So you get the standard assortment of Zaku weaponry. One interesting one here that I'm obviously going to have trouble getting out is the cracker grenades. So these are mainly used on Earth during the Earth operation episodes. They look really good. And then you also get a holder for them that apparently, you know, nothing comes out of here easily. That's why we have the heat hawk, to actually get everything out. There we go. So the holder looks good too. I think it's a better design than some of the older ones. And they just kind of rock into place. And then the holder, you know, has a standard hard point. It can go here or there, wherever you really want to put it, on his arm, wherever. But they look nice. It's a good good accessory. I guess we'll go ahead and talk about the heat hawk. You do get a quite large heat hawk, and then you have the one that's deactivated. So instead of doing the old EMSIA thing where you had a heat hawk like this without the blade and the blade could be attached, they just gave you two molds for it, which I actually prefer. And then you know, it attaches to the skirt armor pretty easily. It looks a little big, but I guess for like two-handed poses and whatnot, it works. It does look quite menacing. You know, again, this is an older figure. So they did announce a Xeon weapon set recently, and it's supposed to come with an oversized heat hawk, so that's going to be pretty interesting. A heat hawk even bigger. You do have missile pods. So these are 3-tube missile pods, missile launchers. The missiles are actually removable. So you can just push them out like that. All of them are removable. And we'll go into the why in a little bit. You do have your leg straps. They detach on both sides here. So you just kind of pop them off. And you, see if I can do this. You wrap them around the leg like so. And then you drop them. It's a crucial part of this process. They're not the easiest thing in the world to do, especially while trying to keep it in frame on camera. But you basically just have to get both sides connected. I think I did it. I kind of did it. And then you, the missile pod hardpoint goes below this, and it just connects in there. So ideally, it goes right like that. So that's how it works. Not the easiest thing in the world, but it looks good once you actually have it on there, and it wasn't too difficult. So they're easy to remove, and then this piece will just kind of fall apart like so. You do get the Zaku bazooka. 280 millimeter stock Zaku bazooka. It looks good. The camera moves. The whole front end moves with the front handle here. It does have effect parts that it can use, and will although it doesn't come with any, but it actually comes with 3 different holders. So you have one for the back, which will attach. And you lift this little gate up, it'll attach back here. And you have these 2, which I actually like that they included these. So these will attach the bazooka to the sides of the backpack. So the bazooka, you know, you see that little tab there. You can fumble around with it until it works. There we go. So it clips on like that. And now you can actually store it like that, which is actually how I prefer it to be stored. So it looks really good. So I like that they included multiple storage options for the bazooka. And you have the top cannon, Magella top cannon. It's a converted Magella attack tank barrel that's been made into a Zaku weapon. The design's kind of simplistic. In fact, it doesn't even have like a trigger or anything. It's just a handle here and a handle there. So it's a little more simplistic than some of the older designs, but it looks good. It has the green, the Magella attack tank green barrel, and then this piece here. So I mean, it works. There's it can use effect parts. Again, we don't get any for it. We then have the Zaku machine gun. This is the only piece that moves on it. Magazine is removable. Magazine is actually storable on the skirt armor. You can actually just drop it like I did. You can probably store it like that. It looks a little better. So that's pretty cool. Fits onto here real easy. And again, can use effect parts. And again, we don't get any. So let's actually get into that. We disregard what I said before. We don't get any effect parts for the machine gun. We do get effect parts though. We get these 2 really nice looking missiles, and they obviously go for the missile pods. So you can pop one of these out and make it look like it's firing a missile. The trouble with it though is you really can't put the effect parts like that because they're too bulky at the base. So you're stuck with having to have like a missile in between them like that, which to me looks kind of odd. Or you just have one effect part on one launcher and one effect part on the other launcher. I think this was a missed opportunity. The missile launching effect could have looked a lot better. I think if they did kind of what they did with Full Armor Gundam and made it look like they're all kind of launching in succession, that would have been a much better effect part. Or if we would have just got some of the other effect parts from the Char Zaku release, like the machine gun effect, maybe an explosion effect, the bazooka firing effect from the Zaku 1 release, they could have been unique and given us like a cracker grenade effect. There's a lot that could have been done here that just wasn't. We got these 2 little missile effects, and that's what we got. So let's go into the final thoughts here on this Zaku, because that pretty much covers all the accessories. Alright, so that's the Zaku II. You know, it's a really good figure, plagued by something that's common with these robot spirits at times, and that's just that there's no sense of uniqueness behind what they release their figures with. You know, the Zaku figure is solid. You know, it's a MS-06 Zaku II. It's got everything that it needs. Like I said, the color's a little plain, but it is a version anime, so that's common with that side production of figures. You know, it's an 06, which is basically an F type. They called it an 06 on the box without the F because that was the old designation, I believe. But, you know, being an F type, you know, it is supposed to have, you know, thrusters on its legs right about here, which are omitted. Again, they weren't really seen on the anime necessarily, but, you know, there's a missed opportunity in the sculpt there. Everything else looks good, but in terms of accessories, it does come with all the weaponry, I think, that it needs. But the effect parts, the whole draw of this version anime line, you know, it's comes with some really lackluster effect parts, especially for such an iconic mobile suit. You know, and I went through what it could have come with, and I think just about any of that, even simply includes something else on top of what we get, that would have made it a better buy. It is at its core an army builder suit, and it's something to have in your collection. I mean, you know, it's not a bad figure by any means. I actually have 2 of them now, one of which will be converted over when I get my Xeon weapons set. But, you know, take it for what it is. If you don't like the design, if you don't like the lack of effect parts, you know, this may be a pass for you, but otherwise it's a fairly solid figure, and I think most people would enjoy it. So we'll see you next time when I review the MS-06 J type. So this is the 06 or the F type, and we'll be doing the J type, which is the ground version of the Zaku. So look forward to that, and we'll see you soon.